Hi, my name is Andrew Brewer from 200 Foot Hockey and Hockey Calgary, and I'm here with 5 keys to keep your players moving in practice. The first key to keeping your players moving in your practice is being prepared as a coach. And being prepared as a coach means starting on time. When you can establish a culture within your team that a 5 o'clock practice starts at 5 o'clock or 5:01 and not 5:05, this allows you to gain multiple minutes of extra ice time each week for each one of your practices. By establishing that culture where the players are standing by the boards ready to go when the Zamboni is still on the ice, this allows you to maximize your ice time and allow for more drills and more effective teaching while you're on the ice. Another way to be prepared is by pre-icing your players. This is something that's common at the higher levels of hockey, where coaches will go into the dressing room 15 to 20 minutes before the ice time and go over that day's drills for that day's practice. You can go over in detail new drills as well as any drills that you might be doing during that ice session, so players can ask questions and you can make sure that everyone has an understanding of what the expectations are as soon as your valuable ice time hits. The next thing you can do is communicating tasks to all your coaches. So if you're the head coach, you want to make sure that all your assistant coaches and any on-ice helpers know before the ice time starts what exactly their tasks are. Will they be running a specific drill? Will they be teaching something specific during one of the specific drills? Making sure that everybody understands what their role is and what their responsibility, starting with the coaches and then the players, will allow you to be prepared and make sure that you're running the best practice possible. The next way to be prepared is by creating a well-designed practice, having the most effective drills, the most efficient drills, making sure they're designed and easy to use for each player and easy to be executed for the level of hockey that you're coaching. That will help you make sure that players are moving effectively and you don't have to spend extra time standing around teaching complicated drills to players who may not be able to teach or learn that specific task. And lastly, a key to being prepared is using the resources available to you as a coach. Within Hockey Calgary, you have great resources like the coaches site and like 200 Foot Hockey. So take advantage of all resources that are available for you, whether it's drills through the Hockey Canada Network, the Hockey Canada Drill Hub, or whatever resources that are available for you. Use them all to help you be more prepared as a coach. Next key to keeping your players moving during the ice time is by skipping the board. In general, ice time costs $300 an hour. At $300 an hour, that means ice time costs over $5 a minute of ice. So if you leave your speeches off the ice and leave a lot of your teaching off the ice, you can make up $5 a minute rapidly over the course of a practice. A great tool to do for this is have a parent or have someone in your family film one of your practices. Look to see how many minutes that you're spending within a 60-minute practice just standing around or not actively moving. So if the key is to try and keep your players moving as much as possible, film yourself and look to see how often are we talking to the players? How often am I blowing down the drill? How often am I starting my practice late? Where I'm not effectively having the players moving around. So film yourself, look to see what you can do and look to see what you can eliminate. At $5 a minute, you want to try and take advantage of all the available ice time that you've been given. Another thing to do is you can do 2 to 3 drills between water breaks. A lot of youth hockey coaches fall into do a drill, go get a drink, go to the board, explain the next drill. By doing multiple drills and pre-icing your practice, you can do 2 to 3 drills between water breaks and between time going to the board. So try to maximize the amount of time actually moving versus the amount of time either drinking water and resting or going to the board and doing teaching. You can explain practice before the ice time. Going back to pre-icing, you want to try and skip the board or spend as little time as possible at the board. So making sure that while you're on the ice, you're not going and explaining a brand new drill and brand new theories to the players. Do your teaching off the ice. Time in the dressing room doesn't cost anything. Time on a Zoom call doesn't cost anything. Time on the ice costs $5 a minute. So make sure that you're doing everything possible off of the ice so you can take advantage to keep your players moving while you're paying to be on the ice. And lastly, look to actively teach during the drill. Another pitfall that youth hockey coaches fall into is anytime that they see a mistake, they'll blow the play down and they'll try to explain that exact moment to everybody on the ice. Half the kids may not be paying attention. Half the kids may not be able to hear you because they're too far away. Try to actively teach individuals during the drill. So when one player may make a mistake and you want to constructively teach them, you can pull them aside while the next players are actually going and actively doing that drill. So you don't have to stop practice constantly to explain. So try to make sure that you have enough on-ice helpers to actively teach as the drill is going on. The next key to keep your players moving is by using the whole ice. This means that if you're sharing ice with another team, you can use the entire ice time. Another thing that commonly happens in youth hockey practice is if you have a half ice practice, you'll use the red line as a line that cannot be crossed, like the warm-up of a game, which is absolutely not true. Try and maximize as much ice as possible and use the whole area of the ice session. So aim for one maximum of 1 rep to 1 rest ratio. And what this means is that for every 30 seconds that a player is actively doing a drill, they should not be waiting in line for any more than 30 seconds after that drill. So they should go for 30 seconds, rest for 30 seconds, or go for 20 seconds, rest for 20 seconds. So try to make sure that if they're not going often enough, it means that your drill design probably needs to be reevaluated. Another way to do this easily is by creating multiple stations. If you have everyone, all 18 players on your roster, trying to do a drill that only has 3 players moving at a time, the numbers just don't add up properly. So use multiple stations, use the whole length of the ice, all 200 by 85 of it. Try and make sure that you're taking advantage of all the available space on the ice and use multiple stations so you can maximize your ice time and keep players moving as much as possible. Try to work on specific skills in specific stations. Station work is a great way to mix in skill work and make sure that you're not just getting into the rut of running multiple flow drills or multiple team drills throughout a practice. And make sure that you're working on position-specific drills as well in practice. So again, stations are a great way to make sure that you're going through and working on things that are specific to players positionally, whether they're defensemen, forwards, goalies, whatever it is. When you break out into stations, you can help work on the specific details of that position. So if I'm using a whole ice practice and say there's 2 teams on the ice and you each are supposed to have half of the ice, what I would probably do working with the other coach is I'd do the first 10 minutes, do some form of full ice skating where 6 players are moving at once and you're moving up and down the ice and you're able to continue to keep the movement going as you go on. And then I'd like to split into stations. So right off the bat, if you have 6 different stations on the ice, you can have a defenseman-specific station here for walking and shooting. You can have a puck retrieval station for defensemen. You can have forwards doing keep-away work. You can have the goalie getting goalie-specific work. A small area, one-on-one battle game with the forwards. You can work on individual face-offs at another station. Just make sure that you're using stations, using the whole ice. Stations are used widely at the NHL level, at the American Hockey League level when it comes to skill development specifically, which will be very often. So make sure you're taking advantage of the entire ice surface and don't feel like you're stuck to one half of the ice or one area of the ice while you're out there. Another key to keeping your players moving is by actively coaching during the drills. Don't stop the drills all the time. So again, go back to when you're filming your practice and find out where are the areas that the practice is getting slowed down and where are the areas that they're not going to be moving at. So you can correct the individual after their rep is finished, allow them to finish the rep, then bring them over and then talk to them individually. And then while you're talking to them individually, another coach can actually be running the drill. So a great way to actively coach is by having more coaches on the ice and more on-ice helpers. Ideally, when you're on the ice, you'll have one coach who's going to be running the drill, and then you're going to have another coach who will be actively providing feedback and talking to the players and tell them what they did right and what they did wrong and areas that they can look to improve. So make sure that you not only are relying on yourself to both run the drill as well as coach the players and provide feedback to them. Try and make sure that all your coaches on the ice have a purpose. Are they running the drill? Are they providing feedback? Are they providing feedback to a goalie, to a forward, to a defenseman? Who are they on the ice talking to and who are they making better during that ice session? And that's how you can actively coach while you're on the ice rather than just standing there and just speaking to the kids in a general sense. And finally, keep it simple. Another way to keep your players moving and run great practices is by keeping your drills simple and keeping your practices simple. NHL coaches in general have 25 core drills. They feel that familiarity increases execution. By doing the same drills over and over again, you can get them done quicker, you can have them run more efficiently, more effectively, and with higher execution. Coaches in the NHL generally only have 25 to 30 core drills that they'll do on a day-to-day basis, and then they'll have some other drills that they'll do, whether it's in training camp, whether it's in a skill type drill, or whether it's a post-practice drill that they may work into specific situations. But there's a lot of familiarity, and there's not a lot of differences between their average drill. Another thing is by using age-appropriate drills. So a drill to work on skating for a 7-year-old is going to be different than a drill to work on skating for a 20-year-old, and vice versa. Same thing as passing, same thing as team-specific skills. So make sure that all your drills are age-appropriate and have been designed appropriately. If you're looking for good information, again, go to the Hockey Canada Network. They've got a ton of drills available for you by age group, and that can really help out provide different information depending on what age you're speaking to. And last, understand team development versus individual development drills. Another thing that coaches will fall into is they'll do a lot of drills that are always focusing on improving their forecheck, improving their defensive zone play, improving their breakouts, and they won't work enough on individual development plans and individual development drills. Hockey Canada states, and USA Hockey as well, that the younger the age, the more ice time that is supposed to be put into individual development. So as you continue to design your practices and focus on keeping your players moving, make sure that you've got to focus on individual development and not just team development and team drills. So constantly, while you're looking to have simple drills, make sure that you've also got an individual skill development mindset there as possible. And lastly, just an example of a drill. This is a drill that was done by the Chicago Blackhawks this season, just to show you how simple a 2-on-1 drill can be. It's 2 players going around a pylon, a 2-on-1. Then 2 players from the other end are going around a pylon 2-on-1 against another guy with 3 players back checking, and it's going to be a continuous 2-on-1 drill. So yes, it's simple. It's easy to execute. They'll do this on a regular basis. The chances are they do this drill probably at least once a week, so there's familiarity with it, and it's something that they can execute at high speed. So to wrap it up, we'll go over the 5 keys again to keep your players moving. First is being prepared as a coach. Make sure you're prepared as the head coach. Make sure your assistant coaches and your whole staff is prepared, and then you can work on keeping your players prepared. Skip the board as much as possible. Try and make sure that you're spending all your time on the ice actively moving, keeping your players active and moving while they're on the ice. You can film yourself to try and find areas where you can do this better and find areas where you can be more efficient on the ice. Try to use a whole ice. Try to use stations as much as possible. Break players up so you don't get into using only half the ice when you have the full ice for practice. Look to actively coach during the drills. Make sure that you're not always blowing the drill down and stopping the drills for all the players so you can actively coach one individual. And lastly, keep it simple. And again, NHL coaches keep a core drill base of 25 to 30 drills. Try and keep it simple. If you're coaching 10-year-olds, you don't need to do 100 drills with them during the season. You can focus a lot by doing the same drills over and over again, executing them highly and focusing on the details of it. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me at tunerforcoaching@gmail.com. Thank you very much to Hockey Calgary and look forward to hearing from you.